Welcome to Love Talk. Again, my name is Gregory Morgan, and I'm here to talk about what works in relationships in men and women, for men and women, and what works for women and what works for men, as you may very well know, is often quite different. And it's not that it's different. It's seen through a different lens, through a different filter, through different eyes. And so I want to speak a little bit about that and offer you some tips and techniques and advice, if you will, based on what we have found works in creating relationships that are both happy and fulfilling, but more than just your own personal happiness, more than your own life being fulfilled, which in and of itself is huge. You know, I wish you to have a happy, fulfilling, and prosperous life, but even more so, I hope that your children have wealthy, happy, healthy parents that are in love with themselves and with life, and who truly are living a life that is worth living. Unfortunately, so many of us live lives that, you know, we don't see a future for ourselves that is happy, that is prosperous, that turns us on and lights us up and has us want to jump up out of bed in the morning and run to participate in our life and give all of our gift, give all of our life force, give all of our love, give all of our time and money and energy to our lives. Most people are living lives in where they're holding back something or a lot or everything. They're holding it back for someday. I don't want you to have a someday life. A someday life is not a life worth living. And of course, if you look on the calendar, you can look all the way out into the future as far as you like. There's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but there's no someday. There's no someday in the calendar. Today is the someday that you've been talking about all along. And so I really challenge you and invite you to begin to live your life like today is that someday that you've been waiting for. And you could actually start to get excited about that. You could actually start to get up on the edge of your seat and turned on about that. You could actually perk up and begin to listen like this is important about that. Or you could kick back and take it easy, put your feet up and say, someday I'll have a great life. Someday I'll have more money. Someday I'll lose the weight. Someday I'll stop smoking. Or I should drink less. Someday. Or, you know, maybe I'll do those things that I promised my wife or my husband someday. You know, so many of us are holding back the flow of our life force, literally holding back the chi, you know, to use the Eastern word, the life force, the breath of life. You know, we're holding back the breath of life from our very lives. We're not breathing life. To the word inspire, inspire in French, the word inspire means to breathe life into, to breathe in life, okay? And to live an inspired life, a life full of breath, full of life force, is to live a life worth living, but to live a life based on a self-knowing that you are one with life itself, that you are part of it and a participant of life, not an observer of life. You're not sitting up in the stands, you know, having a hot dog while the team is playing. You're down on the field playing the game in life. And so when you are that involved in your life, then your relationships become a natural expression of who you are. The ones that don't fit, the ones that aren't working, the ones that don't contribute to the game, if you will, that you're playing, that you're involved with, that you're giving your everything to, they will fall away. The ones who are not supposed to be there will simply fall away. They can't keep up. They won't participate beyond their own limited ability to do so. You know, there are people who are in your life for a reason. They're there to either teach you something. Sometimes it's not a good lesson. Sometimes it's a hard lesson. But they're there. People show up in your life for a reason or a season, and some people are in your life for a lifetime, and those are very few. The people who are there in your life for your entire life, not because you have to. There's people that are there because you feel like you have to, which, by the way, you don't. You do have a choice, and I know that it may seem that you don't. In your community or in your family, it may seem like, well, that's my family, or I have to put up with it. Well, my experience personally, and I don't advocate living like me, okay? I don't advocate living like me, but I have eliminated people from my life that simply do not contribute to my life. And I think if you look in your own life, you will see that there are people who, when you're around them, you feel full, you feel energized, you feel happy, you want to see them again, you want to share time with them. Those are the people you should have in your life. What if everybody in your life was like that? You wouldn't be able to wait to get out of bed in the morning. You wouldn't want to go to sleep at night. You would want to participate with people. You would want to be a part of people's lives, because no matter what you're doing, when you're around them, you feel better, you feel more energized, you feel happier, you feel smarter, you feel whatever, right? You're turned on. And then there are those other people who, every time you're around them, no matter how well you feel, you start feeling a little less. You feel diminished. You feel like a loss of power. You feel like the life has been sucked out of you, or that the oxygen has been used up. You feel suppressed. There are people in your life, you know who they are. You may be one of those people in somebody else's life. You should leave them alone, okay? And you know that there are people in your life that every time you're around them, you feel less, you feel diminished. You should put as much distance between you and them as you possibly can. Even if they live next door to you, even if they live in your house, maybe you should find some other living arrangement. If you want to live a life that is supercharged, full of energy, full of life, then you need to, it's as important as it is to put good, I'll use this example. As important as it is to put good food and nutrients into your body, it's even more important to make sure you eliminate the waste. Eliminate the things that are not supposed to be in your body. Though you want to get those out. So that is true on a physical level. You breathe in fresh oxygen. It is just as important to breathe out the carbon dioxide. It's just as important to breathe out the toxins in your body as it is to breathe in the fresh air. And the same is true with life. Life is flowing, life is going, and life is going with or without you. And it may seem like, if you are listening to this show and it feels like your life is going nowhere, you feel like you're stuck, you feel like you can't move, then I assert, when I use the word assert, it means that I'm willing to put forth a proposition, and I'm willing to back it up with some evidence. So I assert that you have people in your life and situations and circumstances that are toxic and that are sucking up your life force, and that you are tolerating that. So my question is, just how much poison do you want in your tea? How much toxic waste do you want in your food? You know, and how much toxic people do you want in your life? So it's important to expel toxicity from your life. It's like, think of it as spring cleaning, okay? A new coat of paint, fresh carpet, whatever. Just, you need to be able to clean out your life before you can even begin to hear what love talk is about. I realize that I come on and I do this show, I do the seminars, I do the workshops, we do these books and CDs and DVDs, and we put our whole heart into it, and I realize that sometimes it's like trying to pour the best wine that I can find into a cup that's already filled with something else. So it's important that I felt it compelled to speak with you today about how important it is that you become an empty vessel, that you have the daring to begin to clean out the things in your life that no longer belong there. And some of them may seem precious. Some of them may seem like, no, 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 I cannot part with this person or this thing because it's a part of me. Well, I ask you to really evaluate for yourself, is this taking energy from me or is it giving energy to me? When I look at this person, this thing, this situation, am I happy and I can't wait to participate and it makes me feel alive and I want to go and do some more? Or does it make me feel like I wish this was over and I could get rid of this, or I feel tired or burdened or heavy around it? So you choose for yourself. My job is to call your attention to it. With awareness comes responsibility. When you are aware and awake, then you become responsible in the sense of not fault or blame. I don't ever mean the word responsible like that. I mean able to respond. You see, some things we just keep them in the darkness and we keep them in our subconscious mind. We put them away, if you will. We put them in the attic or the basement or the closet and we forget all about them. Some part of you knows it's there. Some part of you feels drained by it, but you go about your business ignoring that. And yet every day it's draining some of your energy. When you take those things out and look at them and become aware once again and bring them into the light of your awareness, that's what enlightenment means, to bring the light into the darkness, okay? When you bring the light of your consciousness and awareness to those darker places in your life that you pretend to be unconscious of, then you now have the ability of choice. Before you had no choice because you weren't even aware of it. It was in the dark somewhere. Now that you've shone your light on it, you actually have a choice. Is this working for me or is it not? And so one of the measures that I'm offering you to take a look at through, one of the lenses or filters that I'm asking you to look through is, when I see this, see, touch, taste, hear, smell, feel this, does it feel good, look good, smell good? You know, do I want more? Or is it kind of like, dead, draining me? You can feel with your heart. Don't do it with just your mind. Don't do it with just your logic. Your logic can make mistakes. Your heart doesn't make mistakes. Your heart knows the truth about things, knows whether it feels right or not. So trust that. And of course use your logic, obviously, but don't base it solely on reason, these decisions. Be responsible. And so all of that is to clear out your bowl, if you will, to empty the glass, to clear the slate, so that someone, myself or anyone else, can pour something new there and you can taste it for yourself and see whether this version of life, this type of life, this aliveness really works for you or not. There's nothing that we're offering at Embrace Growth that I'm offering to any of my clients or students that I haven't tasted myself. In other words, my wife and I, we eat our own cooking. Those things that we offer in our classes and in our workshops, we've tried them all on ourselves. We've done the workshops on each other and on ourselves. All of the exercises, all of the processes. In fact, what makes it into our workshops and into our seminars and into our books and CDs and DVDs and our sessions with people is only a small fraction of what we've tried and we've taken only the best of what we know actually works every time. So it's not like we're experimenting on the public. We know what we're doing here. We've tried this before. On ourselves and each other. So and on by this time thousands of people that we've worked with. So what's at the bottom of all of it, and why I call this show Love Talk, is what's at the bottom of all of it. When you've gotten rid of the things that you don't want anymore, and when you've embraced the things that are precious in your life, even if they're challenging. You know, some of the people that are the most challenging in your life, maybe they're the best people that you could have. So you don't want to look and see if somebody, just because somebody's challenging, you don't want to throw them out. Sometimes they're challenging, but they have great value to you. You know, you feel energized, you feel up to it. You know, you don't want to go play using that metaphor of playing on the playing field instead of watching from the stands. You don't want to play on the playing field with people that aren't even up to your level of challenge. You want to play on a playing field with people who are a worthy opponent, a worthy challenger. Yes? When I met my wife, I knew that I had found a worthy challenger. Okay, I knew that I found a woman that would match me step for step, and that she was a peer, neither above or below me, but somebody who was on an equal standing with me, that we could match each other as human beings. Now, I'm not talking about professionally or any of that thing. Okay, each of us has our own specialty in the field of the therapy that we work on, and you know, I'm good at mine and she's good at hers, and so that's what we do. But as a human being, we find each other, and we're very challenging with each other. And so it's not because somebody's challenging that you want to like stay away from them. In fact, you ought to embrace that. That's what the word embrace growth is about. That's what the word, the name of the company, Embrace Growth. It's about embracing it, actually bringing your growth to you. You know, a lot of people are pushing their growth and development away. Well, you know, challenging, I don't want to be challenged. I want life to be easy. I don't want to have too much stress. Well, get used to being dead then, because if you live life to the fullest, you will be stressed. You will be challenged. You will be pushed beyond your limits. And so our challenge to you from Embrace Growth is really go after it. You know, like go after the challenges rather than pulling away from them. When you go to meet your challenge, and you know, for those of you who have ever practiced martial arts, or who've ever raised kids, or taught other people, you've probably learned instinctively that when you go to meet a challenge, you can take charge of the situation and actually have an outcome that, while it may not be entirely predictable by you, is an outcome that you have some control over, some say-so about. So if you want to take control of your life, if you want to take control of a challenging situation, you don't run away from it. You don't push back from it. You don't hold back. You give all of yourself to it. And then it becomes your situation. It becomes your challenge. It becomes your growth and development. Because one of the things that we know from working with thousands of people and from our own lives is that anything that pressures you, that pushes down upon you, so to speak, mentally, emotionally, physically, how do you get strong? You pick up heavy weight, right? You lift heavy weights, you get stronger. You get stronger than the weight. The weight gets lighter and lighter. If you lift the same 20-pound weight, you know, every day for a month, that weight will feel like nothing at the end of the month, okay? And the same is true with meeting the challenges of your relationships. If you keep meeting those challenges, you personally grow and develop in your character. You become stronger in your heart. You become stronger in your mind. Your spirit becomes more available. And you actually become physically stronger as well. You become healthier. I can say that since I've been living like this, I've had experience of actually getting younger sometimes. I feel younger than I did 20 years ago. And so you can actually begin to grow and develop in ways that you didn't even set out to do. You didn't imagine that was even possible. So that's all about growth and development and meeting the challenges and Embrace Growth and Love Talk and what we're about here in our seminars and workshops. I'm going to end that right now for this moment, and we're going to go take a brief break. I'm going to open the phone lines. The 818 number is the number you want to call. And when I come back, I would like to hear any questions, concerns, yeah buts, what ifs, challenges that you're facing right now. And let's have a dialogue and see if I can contribute to you in a way that will give you more power and energy and focus in your life so that you begin to live a life that's fulfilling to you and embrace your own growth, okay? We'll be back in just about 6 minutes.